long before the glorious days of King Arthur, even before his father Uther Pendragon was born, Britannia saw the arrival of the legions. In the name of the Roman emperors, they invaded the south, then set out to conquer the whole land. At the northernmost point of their conquest, where they met the savage Picts, they halted and founded a giant fort of Iberacum. Iberacum grew and became the capital of the northern provinces. But the Romans who came here never felt at ease. They feared Britannia, the wizards, and the gods in the woods. They knew that something ancient was slumbering beyond Iberacum, up in the north. So the Roman Emperor Hadrian decided to build a wall to protect his land. Legends speak of Hadrian's wits and his mastery in the arcane, but some say he had help from a young wizard called Merlin. The wall was magnificent, and for a long time stone and magic kept out the tribes and everything else that lurked out in the cold. Then times changed. When the fabled 9th Legion disappeared beyond the wall, it was the turn of the tide. The Romans slowly withdrew from Britannia. But 5 noble families decided to stay in Iberacum. They succumbed to decadence and fought over the remnants of their former glory, until a young monarch in the south, a Briton called Arthur, changed everything. The flames of magic flared up again, and a new age of wonders began. The noble families realized that it was the time they had been waiting for. While King Arthur was uniting the south, they were busy squabbling over their possible leader. The Sulla family seemed to be the right choice to build a new Iberacum, but not everyone agreed. The family's enemies were merely waiting for the right moment to deal with the Sullas and their heir, the valiant Septimus. The right moment is now. Something terrible has happened in the south, where King Arthur rules the land. Meanwhile, Iberacum is under threat from the north. The wall cannot hold back the Picts much longer. When Septimus left his family, his bride, and his friends and rode off to battle, he was betrayed by his own kind. They abandoned him and his warriors in the heat of the battle, and he found himself alone, surrounded by savages. Still, he fought valiantly, until a fateful blow sent him sprawling to the ground. The Picts left him there, on the other side of the wall, in the firm belief that he was dead, and they were almost right. Septimus Sulla lay among the fallen for a very long time, and then, suddenly, he opened his eyes. When you open your eyes, you can't decide whether you're awake or in some kind of dream. You stand upon a soaring mountaintop, looking down on a thick layer of clouds beneath your feet. It is almost as if you were in the abode of the gods. Could it be that? You ponder. But your thoughts are interrupted by an ethereal yet powerful voice.
Who are you, lost soul? And why have you crossed into the land of savages?
Your reply merely echoes in the celestial void at first. But then the apparition of an elderly figure manifests itself before you. He addresses you with a faint smile and an air of absolute authority.
A Roman champion. Well then, I am honored to meet someone with such a rare vocation. But let's see what else we can learn about you.
As he speaks, you realize that you know him. You have seen his face on marble statues 100 times before. This is the great Emperor Hadrian himself, who died centuries ago. You begin to struggle with this impossible thought, but your pondering is cut short when you are beset by a series of visions. Still, images form and melt away, one after another. You soon realize that these are scenes from your own past, but they are all hazy and lack details. Finally, the visions stop, and you are left staring at one of your past battles.
Ah, so that's the kind of champion you are. Yes, indeed. Your skills have brought you many victories, and yet here you are. Tell me, how is it that the barbarians defeated the mighty Septimus Sulla? Have the Romans become so weak, or was it your strategy which was flawed?
It seems the apparition intends to discuss the reasons for your defeat further, but the thought of the betrayal fills you with sudden rage. Enough, you say. I have answered your questions. Now you answer mine. Who are you, and what is this place?
Indeed, you have the right to know. I was once known as Emperor Hadrian, and you are in my prison. As you know, I mastered the arcane arts in my life, and created many arcane objects for the glory of Rome. My greatest creation was the wall, and yet it is not the reason I'm here. Unbeknownst to me, when I first bound magic to an object of personal vanity, I also bound my eternal soul to it. Thus I became part of my golden wreath, unable to let it go, even after death. Centuries passed, and now only a fragment of the wreath remains, but that is enough to keep me here. You have been mortally wounded, yes, but your heart still beats. Still, you would have died had you not stumbled upon my wreath. It is fortunate that you did, for both of us. But your questions will have to wait. I must first show you something. Much has happened since you marched north, and there are many things that you must know. While you were fighting savages, an enemy struck at your home. An enemy you are not aware of.
The Emperor falls silent and lets you watch another stream of images which depict a bloody assault on your home. You can only look on in horror as everything you hold dear is ruthlessly destroyed.
Your family, your bride, even your lands, all gone. You have lost much, but you may yet save some of what you have. In this place, our powers combined can alter the very fabric of reality, and thus we can change what is about to happen. But your life is fading away, and we cannot risk you dying. We can only make one change, so you must choose. Very good. You have now faced the past and the present, but you have not yet faced the future, and you must see it to know what you must do. All your suffering, all the devastation you've seen, is just a prelude to something much worse. I thought it was inevitable, until your arrival provided us with a chance. But it all hinges on you now. This is what will happen if you die. This is what will be if you don't walk the path that destiny has chosen for you. Our people have grown decadent and weak. Divided and leaderless, they cannot withstand what is to come. The members of your murdered family will have been the lucky ones. There is a reason you found me, Septimus, and together we shall face a monumental task. With the power of my wreath, you shall return from the dead and chisel the world around you until it has a future again. You must rebuild the legions and unite the squabbling families. You must restore the glory of Rome so it can stand firm against the tide of the coming darkness. While the rest of the world burns, a new Rome shall stand. But first, you must reclaim what you have lost. You shall return home, bury your dead, rebuild, and gather your strength. Your people and your soldiers await you. There is much to be done before the name Septimus Sulla is known by all.
On your way home, you meet an army of Roman soldiers headed towards the heart of the Sulla estate. The leaders are retired Sulla veterans, whom your father charged with taking some of the family treasures to safety when the rebellion started. After the Senate proved too slow to respond to the crisis, they took the initiative and used the funds to raise troops. They are overjoyed to see you alive and insist that you lead them against the rebels personally.
Ready to serve.
The enemy hero is casting a spell. Your magic shield is under normal strength. A spell was cast.
Fire! Fire!
A spell has been cast. The enemy has cast a spell.
Fire! Fire!
The enemy has cast a spell. Your men are going to die. Your soldiers are going to die. A spell was cast. A spell was cast. Your units are in danger. The enemy has cast a spell.
Fire! Fire!
The enemy has cast a spell.
Fire! Fire!
A spell was cast.
Fire! Fire!
The enemy has cast a spell. The enemy has cast a spell. Victory is near. A spell has been cast. A spell was cast. You survived the deadly silence at the wall. You came home and took back what belonged to you. However, that was only the beginning. Now you have to enter a real viper's nest. The marble halls of Ibaracum, where you'll face the representatives of the noble families. In order to fulfill your destiny, you must have yourself acknowledged as a senator. For the first time in your life, you see the main square of Ibaracum as the perfect symbol of what the provinces have become. Crumbling palaces, cracked flagstones, all hidden in the shadows of the past, cringing before the gigantic statues built by Emperor Hadrian. On the broad steps of the Senate building, you come across an unusually large gathering where small groups gather to scheme and gossip. The news of your return must have reached here sooner than you'd thought. You feel their questioning stares while you are climbing the steps. Muffled voices herald your arrival in the gloomy vaulted hall. You notice that some of the senators quickly withdraw into the shadows. You walk briskly past the row of marble columns and enter the chamber of the Senate. The chamber of the Senate resembles a large cauldron where the rows of seats gradually descend towards the speaker's stand. When you arrive, the only person there is the censor, the administrator responsible for keeping the catalogue of the meetings, but the crowd follows you. An augur walks into the hall, wearing his traditional robe with its blood-red stripes. He invokes the blessings of the gods on the assembly, then summons the senator with the highest rank present, Cornelius Severus. Cornelius Severus is a noble-looking man with silver hair and a very powerful presence. After greeting the Senate, He immediately turns to you. I see that Septimus Sulla is making an unexpected appearance among us. May I ask for his formal acceptance into our ranks? The senators argue among themselves for a while, carefully weighing every word. It takes a while until the noise in the hall subsides. Then an elderly member of the Ordo Equester raises to speak. The aging senator puts your request to the vote, and the senators reach a unanimous agreement. Afterwards, Cornelius Severus walks to the speaker's platform, but only to ask you to speak. Senators, you begin bitterly. You ordered me to the wall to help the Caracalla family against the invading Picts. And then I was left alone, betrayed by those who sought my help. Lies, shouts one of the Caracallas. We had to move back to our states to defend ourselves. You glare at Senator Caracalla. Your estates were far away from any danger, and the place where you set up your camp is a day's walk from the wall. The senator suddenly looks more relaxed, and he even tries a weak smile. Prove it, Sulla! Otherwise these are just empty words! Senator Caracalla continues. Due to some unforeseen circumstances we were delayed. That much is true. But look who is talking about betrayal. The leader who survived the battle without any wounds. So he deftly accuses you of cowardice and places you under scrutiny. Excited murmuring sweeps through the hall. These wounds would have sent an average man to death's door, but here you are, with only the pink scars of your healed wounds as a reminder. There aren't any healers in Iberacum who could perform such a miracle, that is for sure. Anticipating the next question, you speak first. I have no idea which god was gracious enough to spare my life, but I'll say my prayers for all of them, you say, trying to head off any accusations. Or perhaps it was a demon, roars Caracalla. Considering the nature of the miracle, the act of healing suggests a divine intervention, answers the augur carefully. He looks like he wants to add something, so you quickly silence him with a curt nod. Most of my warriors died in that battle. I was left for dead, bleeding from my wounds, and it is a miracle that I survived. And for what? To come home and see my family destroyed, my estates burned to the ground? I stood up for you and you betrayed me. The senators exchange ashamed glances. Instead of the usual commotion, this time eerie silence fills the marble hall. I'm talking about the series of seemingly accidental events that somehow still led to the destruction of my family. Don't they sound suspicious? Should I also mention the absence of the Caracalla family from the battle, or the unknown soldiers who looted my lands? The senators can't contain their anger anymore. The noise quickly becomes deafening. These are only assumptions. We demand proof. However, you sense uncertainty in the air that is far from the angry disbelief that they display. I can't prove anything, and that's the beauty of it. The conspirators were clever, but you are mistaken if you believe that the destruction of my family will be the end of this. I fear that those behind these machinations have a much greater goal: to rule New Rome. You all know the consultum the Senate passed 100 years ago. That decree set the terms that still apply to the families lending military or financial help for the protection of the wall. Namely, that all losses sustained must be covered by the other families. The Sulla family defended the wall, and thus the whole realm against the tide of the Picts. And what was the price we paid? We lost everything. Our soldiers, slaves, and estates are gone, not to mention the personal losses. I demand compensation. I think the claim of Septimus Sulla is justified, Cornelius Severus says. We all know that the Caracalla family was a frequent beneficiary of said decree during the last decades. Why should we refuse to compensate the Sulla family for the same service to the realm? The Massala family has an army of slaves at its disposal. They could easily provide me with the servants I need. The Severus family could furnish me with the armor, weaponry, and equipment that my new army needs. All was lost when my lands were pillaged. The Quintus family could send me a host of armed men and officers to train them, while the Caracallas could supply me with money of an amount to be determined by the Senate.
Ovidius Caracalla, the elder of his family, jumps to his feet. He claims that he is unable to pay compensation. With the constant threats from the huge Pict armies at the wall, he should be the one asking for money, not the other way around.
Considering the request made by the head of the Caracalla family, I pledge that I will use the compensation that is due to me to build an army and defend Hadrian's Wall from the Western Sea to the foothills in the east, if you give it me as my province.
The uproar is so loud that it's almost ear-piercing. This is clearly a debate that will go into the annals of the Senate. Finally, the augur has to intervene personally, but it takes some time until everyone calms down. Now the Senate will vote on the matter of your compensation. The Senate offers you 2,000 gold and grants you an auxiliary force until you've gathered a new army. In addition, you are now the lord of one particular section of the wall, ranging from the Western Sea to the hills in the east, granted to you to defend it from the Picts.
On my way.
Hera Septimus Sulla, finest commander of the provinces. The mighty Senate of Eboracum orders you to move to the north. The marauding Picts have crossed the wall again, and they are wreaking havoc in the countryside. We need you there to assist the Caracalla family by driving the Picts out of the province. I bring a message from Cornelius Severus, my lord. The venerable senator received word that the Caracalla family means to negotiate with the Picts marauding on this side of the wall. Their intention is to incite the Picts against the Sulla family. My master advises you to act first and...
A picked army broke through Hadrian's Wall and found refuge in a fortified Roman villa near the main roads. They are looting and plundering the Caracalla lands, constantly harassing the wealthy villages. Your scouts report that they are too weak to move deeper into the Roman lands, but they will surely continue wreaking havoc where they are.
Yes, my lord.